Hey everyone, C-double-D Music Reviews here. I am C-double-D and this is going to be a music review of the new Anderson Paak album, Malibu. Anderson Paak is a singer-songwriter, rapper, producer from LA. He pretty much basically blew up after he was featured on Dr. Dre's latest new album, Compton. What was notable about that album was the feature list that was prominent on the record. It had Kendrick on it, The Game was on it, Snoop Dogg was on it, Ice Cube was on it, but most importantly, Anderson Paak was on it 5 times. It was after this album released that Paak pretty much popped up in like numerous places that ranged from Dre level to bus driver level. Specifically, he was on a Med, Blue, and Madlib collaborative project called Bad Neighbor. He was also on The Game's documentary 2.5. He was on Bus Driver's mixtape, I think it's an album, called Thumbs. And he is feeding off the hype that he's been generating since last August with this new album called Malibu. So, given that, I was definitely interested in what Paak was going to be doing on this album. How often does like a relative unknown all of a sudden blow up being featured on Dre's latest album? For that matter, how often do we get the latest album from Dr. Dre? I was expecting what I enjoyed about Paak on Compton. A nasal rap singing with like solid lyricism to it. And I most certainly got that. And then some. Now, this album at its core is a neo-soul record, which we can debate that term all we want, but there's an individualisticness, if that's even a word, to it. There's like a mix of the old world of soul and R&B with the new world of hip-hop, funk, and neo-psychedelia, and maybe a few other moments mixed into it. And it all sounds like Paak. Maybe if Paak came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s Paak, but still, it's Paak. Like D'Angelo and Erykah Badu before him, he's moving at the beat of his own drum. He's working under his own tempo. And there's a lot of moments here that certainly suggest that, especially given how personal this album is. But first I want to get this out of the way. The production on this album, the compositions on this album, really good. The production list is pretty interesting. Madlib's on it, Ninth Wonder is on it, K-Tronanda is on it, Dim Joints, who was also featured on Compton, is on it, and even Paak himself has production notes on this album. So that's one interesting thing. All of these producers coming together to be funneled into the entity that is Anderson Paak. And then there's the compositions. Like I said, this is a neo-soul record, so you're going to expect some really soulful singing, sensual guitar. You're also going to expect neo-psych, funk, maybe a little bit of rock and roll. It's pretty interesting how varied this album really is and how interesting a genre neo-soul is. So this album kicks off with The Bird. Just to give you an example of what the compositions are going to be like, you can actually get an idea of how the compositional palette's going to be like just from the first 2 tracks alone. But yeah, The Bird. You get like this really smooth and introspective track. Paak singing about being grateful for where he's at now, despite the fact that Mama was a farmer and Papa was a goner. He also thanks this person who turns into a metaphor as a bluebird of some kind, which I think is pretty interesting. This track actually sounds like sitting on the beaches of California and watching the sun set ever so slowly. But then when the sun has finished setting, the ocean has finally swallowed the sun, when night has come, that's when we get the song Your Heart Don't Stand a Chance, where we go from like really heartfelt and smooth introspection into dark and mischievous debauchery, with Paak singing over this sporadic drum beat and like these micro-sampled high-pitched samples. He's like, ooh, boo, champagne, pouring down, arms, legs keep climbing. It's like nuts, the hook. Then it somehow like switches into this syncopated bass and drum rhythm with Paak singing so convincingly and so seductively for this former lover. Yeah, what they had, what might have been flawed at the time, but deep down he knows that she can't resist him for long. The result of that, we go back to the hook, boo, champagne, pouring down. Oh my God, it's a pretty interesting track. And there are a lot of interesting tracks like that on here, specifically the ones that go into sort of a slow jam-ish and really sensual direction, such as Am I Wrong, which has like a really strong like late 90s, early 2000s vibe to this like driving little synth and like really danceable groove to it. These like jittery trumpet bits. And Schoolboy Q also has like this verse that's probably my favorite verse on the entire album. It's not so much what Schoolboy is doing, but like what he's not doing per se. Schoolboy usually comes off like as like this really direct and really vulgar individual, but he remains his directness but scales back his vulgarity. He seems like someone women would actually approach now, and it's interesting. And then you get the song Room in Here, which has like this kind of intimate vibe to it, as Paak is singing that there's room in here just for two, what could we do in here? It's really intimate, and not even the game's like really cheesy feature can ruin it. She's got white tees. That reminds me of a white tee and wifey. It's an okay verse, but it just is really cheesy when it comes down to it. Then there's the song Your Prime, which Paak explores having these sexual relations with this young college student. Simultaneously, he's also critiquing the fact that she's, in all respects, a pseudo-intellectual and has no sense of maturity or superiority whatsoever. Once he's pretty much done dismantling that, he beckons her to come back to bed, which is pretty much him turning what I guess she would be doing to him around. But I think my favorite of these slow jams would be Silicon Valley. The track features the most archetypical, I would say, slow jam vibe to it. And Paak is singing to this woman, seducing this woman that got breast enhancements. Oh my god. He's essentially saying that they say the heart's underneath a bunch of guard insecurities, but he seemed to have found this key underneath the garments and the double D's. I think that was really smooth. I think what he's saying is that these women in particular have their hearts encased in steel, both in the figurative and literal sense. One that I'm pretty sure Paak was able to infiltrate, seeing as this woman's like, "Oh, can you fuck me already? You're taking too long, Paak." This album's not just filled with songs about sex or sensuality. It's also got a lot of personal moments on it. Like the song The Season Carry Me. While he's being grateful for where he's at now, he also just turns around and critiques like what he sees as unfair. Feds like destroying entire families. Dad needs a new kidney and like all these siblings don't want to see each other. He has probably my favorite line on this entire album where he says, "If money isn't king, it's damn sure the incentive." And then there's the track Without You, which features Rhapsody. The way the features used is pretty much ingenious. Paak is singing and rapping about this crumbling relationship. He's all like, "You need to make up your mind. I'm used to being blown away like a Nintendo cartridge." And this just comes off as sappy, but there's a purpose to that for the song. Especially when Rhapsody comes in and absolutely tears through his bullshit. And she just goes in and like tears apart everything he just said. There's all these people in her DMs. Now that he's fucked up, she's about to go see them, and there's no way he's gonna get her back like Liam. Damn. She's cold. But yeah, those are like pretty much the tracks that really stood out to me. Maybe not all of them that I liked, but they definitely stood out to me. The main thing about this album is that there are tracks on here that either feel just a little too sleepy or a little too obligatory. On the sleepy end, we have the tracks Parking Lot and Lightweight. Parking Lot actually featuring this kind of instrumental that reminds me of Vampire Weekend. After a while of like actually enjoying this track, it just feels tiresome how the psych vibe goes to it. Although I do love the sentiment where he says, "I don't remember the parking lot, but I remember the song we sang," as well as the hook on this song. 1, 2, 3, come on, do you feel me? And then there's Lightweight, where the track is so subdued for words that I can't even see myself returning to it often. I mean, I like it, it's just nothing there, relatively speaking. But then there's like the smaller tracks like The Waters, which actually has a beat produced by Madlib, but it just seems so inconspicuous that you would have had to have told me that this was Madlib. He's rapping okay, it's just not blowing me away or anything, especially how brief the track is. And in terms of brevity, there's this Waterfall interlude, which sounds like what it is. It's a sex track that serves as an interlude. It's okay, it's decent, it's just not blowing me away that much. And then after Silicon Valley, we get the last two tracks that, like I said, feel a bit obligatory. I love the sentiment. I really dig the compositional moments. Celebration actually has like this really joyous and borderline gospel piano line to it. It just seems weird that after him getting so personal about his sexual exploits, which are some of my favorite moments on the album, as well as like his critiques against these things and like his critiques towards other people, it just seems weird that he's now all of a sudden making songs about how we all should be optimistic about the future and how we should all celebrate about the future, which I like. It just seems like really off kilter, especially with all the previous themes to it. I mean, it adds to the very nature of this album. And then there's The Dreamer, which serves as the closing track on the album, which, like I said, it feels like this obligatory optimistic track. But I love how impassioned the chorus is. Plus Talib Kweli has a decent verse. By that standard, I think it's a good enough closer. So overall, yeah, I really like this album a lot. Paak struck while the iron is hot, and he came together with a really sharp, a really sensual, a really great album. Some cuts that pale in comparison to others. I still really enjoy this album, and I can't wait to hear what Paak is going to come up with next in the future. If you like R&B, if you like soul music, if you like neo-soul music, if you like your Weekends or D'Angelo's or Lauryn Hill's, you'll definitely like this album for sure. This album is a plus 2.2 out of plus 3, so a greater than plus 2, less than plus 3. Really enjoyable. Check it out. But if you gave this album a listen, did you like it maybe as much as me, or did you dislike it nowhere near as much as me? Let me know if you did, or let me know if you didn't but wanted to check it out. This is C Double D Reviews here, signing off.